Bonnie, sweetheart, one of those buttons will unmask every Zygon in the world. The other one cancels their ability to change form. It'll make them human beings forever. There are safeguards beyond safeguards. I did this on a very important day for me. And this ceasefire will stand.
This is wrong.
No, it's not.
Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast, this time talking about the Zygon inversion. Ah yes, part 2, how marvellous it is to still have these two-parters, despite the fact that next week really does look like it's not a two-parter at all. Yeah, let's not discuss next week's until next week, if that's right with you. Now, before I start rambling and talking insanely about Doctor Who, I just need to ramble and talk insanely about Doctor Who. You see, I've had this idea, I've had this concept, this thought, this little nagging thing in my head. The Doctor's banging on about hybrids. He keeps poking members of the cast and going, "You're a hybrid, aren't you? You know all about hybrids, tell me what you mean." It keeps coming up. It's as if he's kind of the fan of the show and he's trying to work out what Bad Wolf is or means. No, this is much more insidious. There is a really obvious hybrid in the TV show, something awful. The elephant in the room, so to speak. In fact, it's not even an elephant. It's a McGann-shaped 1996 I'm half human kind of hybrid. Yes, it's the sort of thing you've tried to forget, the sort of thing that you don't want to think about. The Doctor is a hybrid. He is half human, half Time Lord, and that's something I really don't want them to open up as a can of worms. But if you're in Gallifrey and you know that there's some sort of myth about a hybrid, and you know you are one, then you're going to be a bit worried, aren't you? So perhaps that's the sort of thing that Moffat finally wants to put a nail in his own coffin with, if you are certain other members of fandom. I don't feel that way, but then again, I'm not fandom. Of course I am. Who am I trying to kid? Look, the 1996 film had many, many wonderful things going for it. That was not one of them. But perhaps it's something that needs to be dealt with, needs to be brought out into the open and poked with a stick. You can bring your own stick. So, let's talk about the Zygon inversion, shall we? Because all of this chatter, this nonsense that I speak, that's a diversion from the actual plot. And it's the distractions like that keep us podcasters in business. We get to talk and ramble and talk nonsense about the tiny little minutiae, the little things, the, "Oh, do you not think unit soldiers should be wearing blue caps" kind of thing. And they get in the way of us enjoying the story, of us throwing ourselves wholeheartedly into enjoyment. And that's what we should be doing with Doctor Who, not picking it apart, not using our pointy stick, not trying to come up with better ideas than people who are paid and are trained in this sort of thing. Tiny things like, getting excited about 5 rounds rapid being used, yeah. And the fact that she's getting further and further away from her scientific grounding that she was when she first turned up, and she's becoming more and more like, well, the person in charge of unit that we kind of need. These are the things that we just go on and on about, and it doesn't really matter, because what actually matters here is something so much more important. You see, a lot of people, a lot of Doctor Who fans, when you talk about them in the cold light of day, will say that their moral coding, the way that they see their world, comes from the show. Obviously, this isn't completely true. It comes from their upbringing and their lives, but There are many of the things that they agree with and see, things like, oh, I've become slightly more aware of the environment after watching The Green Death. Or I'm aware of, no. Politics and the tax system and the unfairity of working yourself to death. After various Tom Baker stories, that kind of thing, it gives you a political awakening. Now, the have I the right, the moments of charm that Pertwee demanded, they're on the increase. And they're for everyone to see. They're right here in front of us. But the have I the right, which has been dealt with before, we've got something so much more important. We've got, can't you all just stop hating each other and talk? That's what's at the core of this particular two-parter. That's what it's all really about. It doesn't really matter who you are or what you look like, literally in this story, as long as you actually stop tantruming and saying things are just unfair and listen to somebody else. It's a wonderful thing to be able to give this level of propaganda and thought control out there on a Saturday night for all to see and enjoy. Just stop for a moment and question your beliefs. Just a little bit. Just have a look as an outsider. See if that affects anyone. See if that lets them see the world differently. And just, well, go with it.
I am ready for the question now.
£5,000 again in a button game. Deal or no deal?
Thank you very much, Mr. Banker. No deal.
Thank you. This is going to be interesting.
So like I said before I was so rudely interrupted by reality, it's the tiny distractions, the things like the design of Clara's pods or the updated nature of Zygons that distract us. But the actual emotional core, no, what I would like to call the message of the piece, that just washes over us. That we don't even question. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'll let you decide for yourself, because that is what being alive is really all about. Deciding for yourself, or at least fighting for the right to decide for yourself. And that's what the Zygons has wanted. But with great power comes great responsibility, as the people who currently own Marvel would have us believe. So was it a fabulous story? Mostly. Did Capaldi shine like a shiny star? Yes. Was Clara better when she was... I don't even want to use the word evil. Let's use the word Zygella. Yes, I know. Nigella has returned to our TV. Is this subtle product placement on behalf of the BBC to promote Nigella's new TV show? Is Nigella Lawson actually an alien? Are these things the distractions that keep podcasters going? Perhaps. My wife has a theory. Capaldi's acting is so good that it's showing up the writing for what it is, and the writers just can't keep up. She also has another theory, that I'm watching a kids' show. I think both of these things, and neither of these things, could be true. I'll let you decide for yourself. Yes, we could bang on about the design of Clara's pod, and the way that it did look slightly ropey. But does it matter? Does it genuinely matter to anyone? So, who is the hybrid, and does it matter? Is next week a single one-parter? Most probably. Are the people from Radio Free Skaro and Verity having a simply marvellous time in the UK? I hope so. And the last piece of pointlessness that we need to discuss is Osgood human? The one with the fixed glasses? Because we know that the other one is a Zygon. And if the other one is a Zygon copy of a Zygon Osgood, is that like when you were a kid and you made a copy of a tape, and eventually you'll end up with something that's absolutely nothing like it and is full of hiss, just like a Zygon? Or have we just established that this current Osgood is the real thing, the genuine article, so to speak, the original? Does it actually matter? Yes. Yes, it does. Because in a world of individuals, individuality is very important. And yes, they've both got a job to do and save the universe, and yes, she'd love with all of her heart to wander the universe with the Doctor. But like a good little fangirl, she's got to stay at home and look after the folks. All umpteen billion of us. And yes, there's a reason that it looks like the moment. But the reason's very, very good. Oh, and can I just say, getting back to the minutiae that keeps us going, Sullivan's gas. This is something, on first viewing, I just let wash straight over me. But think about it. The idiot Harry Sullivan, would he genuinely have worked at Portendown and produced a nerve gas? He was a nice man. But then again, he was tortured by the Zygons. Perhaps he had something of a vendetta. So let's believe that that's the case. Or let's believe, even more likely in the fluffy bunny world of Doctor Who, that he merely bluffed the existence of such a gas with the help of a later Doctor. An adventure that could be told in a short trip. Let us redeem the memory of Harry Sullivan, because Ian Marter just isn't around to protect him. So that's our job. And with that, I'll fade away and let you discuss the minutiae of your own. Because let's face it, pretty good story, better on a rewatch. Even if those little moments inside Clara's head did seem to be revisiting old turf. Oh, let's let it go. I know I will. So until next time, be seeing you. You've been listening to the Doctor Who Tin Dog Podcast. Available on RSS, iTunes, Audioboom, Tumblr, and wherever podcasts are found. Why not become a supporter of the show by visiting patreon.com/tindog. Doctor Who and its associated properties are copyright of the BBC and no infringement is intended. To contact the show, email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance. Oh, and for the record, I was right about what was in the box. But then again, so were you.